If you want to hear and see more content like this, go and subscribe and follow. You're listening to the Jujitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're wanting to learn how to grapple. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want to continue to play a sport and stay active, start training Jujitsu. I'd like to welcome Leigh Remedios to my podcast. Hi Leigh, how you doing?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, great, thank you. Nice to see you in the virtual sense because you are my coach over at VT Jiu-Jitsu in Chippenham. This feels quite formal, but I'm going to kind of break down some of the barriers with this, and let's just have a conversation around a little bit around your history and your background for people that haven't heard of you before, because I feel like most people have, Leigh. Tell us where your kind of fighting spirit all started.
I was raised by parents that were pretty aggressive, I suppose. My dad loved to scrap, and he kind of raised me to scrap, and yeah, I took to it really well. So that was it. And then as I got older, I started training martial arts.
Nice. And before we started recording, you mentioned that there was a thing called no holds barred. Now, for those of us that have no experience in fighting or scrapping, talk to me about this.
So when the UFC first came out, UFC 1, it was style versus style, but to make it kind of realistic and fair, they held it in like in the octagon now, in a cage, so that no one had like an advantage, like a ring or a sumo mat or anything like that. And they just basically had virtually no rules. You couldn't bite and you couldn't eye gouge, and that was it. So that whatever your art wanted, permitted, or whatever your skill set was, you could use it in combat. And it was called no holds barred, but it was completely unregulated.
Wow.
So around the turn of the century, they regulated the sport and called it MMA, and brought some rules in, like wearing gloves, and you can't kick to the head of a downed opponent, all that sort of stuff, right? You know, all the rules that we have now in MMA were added once they got it regulated, and it switched from no holds barred to MMA.
Okay. Now, what comes up when no holds barred is the movie Fight Club, and just kind of, you know, scrapping, and you know, I don't know. I'm inexperienced in that sense, but is that what you were kind of talking about, or just literally UFC 1 is going for it?
Yeah, no, Fight Club. I mean, I really like the movie. It's hilarious, but no, that's not really it, because I mean, I guess a basement version of it. But no holds barred was literally you don't wear gloves. You can kick in the groin. You could headbutt. You can elbow people. You can like hit anywhere on the body. Like you couldn't eye gouge. You couldn't bite. But that was it. You could spike them on their head. You could do what you wanted.
Wow.
But it was in a ring or in a cage, and there was a referee. You either had rounds or you didn't have rounds, but it was run as a sport.
Okay. Well, that sounds, I guess, a far-flung experience from what some of us might have today. But you also have come through the ranks with MMA and being a professional athlete. How different is being a professional athlete from that experience?
It wasn't really that different, because it still wasn't regulated very much in MMA for quite a while. But the rules were adopted, but the rules didn't make much difference, because they were rules that you probably weren't going to break much anyway. A bit, you know, like you couldn't knee people when they're on the floor and stuff like that. So that was a little bit different, but the techniques were relatively the same. You're going to take someone down and ground and pound them and look for submissions. On the feet, you're going to kickbox and box and Muay Thai. You didn't have to wear gloves. That made a bit of a difference, not a massive difference, because the gloves don't protect your opponent, they protect your hand, right? They're a bit bulkier to grapple in, but really it wasn't that much difference. Where I really noticed it is when I fought in the States, and and I fought like I fought in the UFC, and I fought for hook and shoot, and I fought for these big promotions, and they were regulated by their local state athletic commission. That was a bit different. That was, I mean, the actual fights itself weren't, but it was kind of, it added a bit of prestige to it. Like you're being, you've got the commission officers there, the officials, and they were very professional and nice to work with. But wow, I actually am being treated like a professional athlete rather than in NHB. It was illegal. Like I was fighting in warehouses and stuff, right? And like in secret locations, trying to pay my rent, right? So, it was different, I suppose, in your treatment outside of the ring, but or the cage. But once you were fighting, the fight's a fight. The guys were the same guys, right? And, that was the same.
Okay, now outside of the ring, talk to me about the kind of professional nature of being a professional athlete and the kind of treatment, the experience. What I'm trying to draw on is the professional aspect of what happens around a kind of fight or a promotion that some of us might not know about.
So it's much more than just fighting, all right, and it's more than training. Training's the biggest part, right? You've got to put all your graft in. That's the hard work, right? You've got to do your road work. But in MMA, you've got to do your boxing and your wrestling, but that's aside. We all do that. But once you start getting professional, you've got to figure out stuff like, how am I going to pay my bills, right? Because like I was working as an engineer, and then if I want to give this a good go, I've got to go full time, right? So things like, does MMA pay my bills? Not really, and I have to win, and I have to compete every 3 months or every 2 months, and that's hard on your body, right? Then when you fight in the big shows, they've got you doing media stuff, and everybody hates media stuff, but I wasn't. It was all new to me. I didn't know anything about that, right? And can you do an interview for these guys? I guess so. Can you go on a radio show? Yeah. Right. Okay. We need you to turn up at this place and this place. I'm like, I've got wrestling practice. Right. Right. Too bad.
Priorities.
I'm fighting. Right. I kind of train. Then they're like, no, you've got to get over to this studio, and you've got to, go answer some questions, and you've got to speak to this newspaper and this mag. Like, I don't want to. Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't feel, I'm not a performing SEAL. I just want to get in there and have a fight. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not asking for £1 million. I just want enough to pay my mortgage. Right? But there's a lot of faff that goes with it sometimes. So but it is what it is, right? If you want to fight and you want to compete against good guys, that's what you have to do.
Yeah. That's I'm kind of drawing my experience when I see promotions coming up now that our mutual respected individual friend Zoe Lundy has been on Enyo a number of times, which is where I first saw her. So you're mostly known as Zoe's coach, isn't that right?
I think I'd like to think I'm mostly known for what I've done in my combat sports career, but I do seem to be getting referred to as Zoe Lundy's coach now. She's going to be laughing her ass off when she sees this.
That's why I asked, Leigh. Anyway, aside from Zoe's humour and whatever. I'm thinking
I do get it though. I go to competitions and people come up to me, "Oh, you're Zoe Lundy's coach." Yeah, my name's Leigh. Nice to meet you.
Love it. But what I'm thinking is, when individuals come through promotions like Enyo, like you're saying, maybe not quite at the professional athlete level that you were fighting at in the US, but having to do media stuff, having to do the training, and that there are priorities in terms of training and all the fitness stuff, but equally the media side of things. And as shows like Enyo and Kairos and various others are growing, and I'm able to do podcasts for them too, the importance of having knowledge that all of those factors, actually, whether you're amateur or professional, have to come into your game and your way of being, but I guess more importantly being able to pay your bills if you're going through and kind of dedicating your life to being an athlete. What advice would you have? I was going to say for Zoe, I'm sure you've got a lot of advice for Zoe, but other individuals,
she would listen to it as well, but anyway, go on.
but other individuals coming up through wanting to be on promotions, how they balance things, what things they might need to consider to kind of progress their career in the sport of martial arts, MMA, Jujitsu, whatever it happens to be.
So obviously, it's the obvious answer would be get good, right? I'm not so sure that's the case.
Yeah.
Especially in jiu-jitsu, it seems to be go on Instagram, dye your hair blonde,
Yeah.
right? Put a load of makeup on, do some cutesy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Wear a blue belt. And I'm not knocking anyone for what they've done. I'm not at all, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of knocking the promotions a little bit. That's what they're looking for, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than are they looking for the top athletes? You know. So, but my advice would be you've got to be marketable, okay? Because in fairness to the promotions, what they want to make money. That's so would I. If I was running a promotion, I want to make money. So
Yeah.
how can you help them make money? Of course, they want to put the best people on, right? And that's, you know, if you're going to main event a card or you're going to be on the you know on the main card, you've got to be good. So if that's what you want to get good, right? That's you have to get good. But people don't appreciate how important it is to be marketable. People, you have to sell tickets. You have to have people wanting to come to see you. Right now, can you sell tickets? If you're good at networking and selling tickets yourself, you don't even have to be good at jiu-jitsu. You can get on a show. You say, look, I can sell 50 tickets. They'll go, you're on.
Yeah.
You'll be on the undercard, but we'll get you on the show, right? And if you've got the look, if you've got the gift of the gab, some people don't.
Yeah.
They can fight really well, which you have to have, but really having some personal skills, it's really people don't realize how important that is to be able to sell yourself, you know, and to be able to be prepared to do the media. It's like you've got to graft, and that people think, but I don't want to. Okay, well, oh well, I'm telling you what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
You can listen. You can listen or not listen. It's up to you. I don't care, right? But I've done all right in jiu-jitsu and I've done all right in MMA, and I'm telling you what you need to do.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that because, but what does kind of echo for me, it almost sinks my heart to know that this is a marketing game. And we know in society 2025 that it's about how you show up and your social media and whether you can sell tickets. But part of me feels really sad for
Me too.
those
Absolutely.
that kind of just want to be good at their profession and what they're doing, because life is an absolute balance.
People want to, they're passionate about their sport. They're training really hard, right? They shouldn't have to do this stuff, this additional kind of skill set that they need to have, this marketing. They shouldn't have to do that, but unfortunately that's the game, right? That's whatever we think, where you and I can agree on that, but the reality is whoever puts an event on, they make the rules, right? And if you want to get on there, you've got to follow their rules, and the rules are going to be, can you sell tickets? Right?
I get that. Now, you mentioned about working in engineering. I've worked not necessarily in engineering, but kind of manufacturing on a sales and marketing side. And when you work in a big corporate, if any listeners or people watching this have worked in corporate, you'll know that you come into a business with a specialist skill and ability, and being asked then to become a general manager is so out of your comfort zone and you don't want to do it. But what also happens is, no apologies for this, those that have specialist skills end up in general manager roles, and then they're rubbish at managing people because their skill and ability sits in that technical ability, high functioning, amazing space, and they're incredible. But put them in a completely different role and they, I guess, fail. What's your experience from that perspective, and does that kind of echo for you?
As an experience of seeing other people do it, yes, not for me. I mean, not to brag or anything, but look, I'm a chartered engineer. I've got a first-class degree in engineering. I recently got graded as this thing called world-class engineering. I got considered an expert in that. I'm a principal engineer. So I'm pretty. Where I'm going with this is I'm quite an experienced engineer. Probably I'm not the best, but I'm all right. And I am now in a managerial role, which is very different to what I was doing before. But I've kind of done really well at it. And it's not me. No, it's not. I'm not trying to say, I just happen to be really good at stuff. That's not what I'm saying at all. The reason why I think I'm good at it is because normally I wouldn't. It's not my skill set, but because I'm a coach and I've been coaching for quite a while, and I've learned how to deal with kids and adults and then, the kids' parents and and a load of different people. I've learned how to speak to people. I run a business. I run a gym, and that's helped me manage people, I think. And it seems to work quite well for me. But I do absolutely see people put in a managerial role that don't want to be in a managerial role and shouldn't be in a managerial role because they're almost like I don't mean to sound rude, but they're almost like an autistic level of good with their specialist subject. But they're not a people person. Right. But sometimes in a career, and it's away from jiu-jitsu, but in a career, sometimes you've got to jump into a managerial role if you want to make more money, right? If you want to if you want to jump into the next pay band, you've got to start moving up towards director level and stuff like that. And there's only one way, right? So, so yes, I have seen it. I'm fortunate that when I'm put in a managerial role, I happen to be all right at managing people because I manage a gym, and the skills are transferable.
Yeah. I just want to kind of go, congratulations on your world-class level engineering. I know when you're coaching jiu-jitsu, some of these things you don't
I got a certificate. That's all I got. I got a certificate.
We like certificates.
WCE on it, right? Yeah, that's it.
But I think, getting good at the thing you're really good at, but equally along the way, knowing that you have to sidestep and learn some of those peripheral skills, whether in business, whether in engineering or any other profession, equally in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. But it feels like getting really good at the core of jiu-jitsu before you start kind of expanding, trying to monetize what you're doing, and just focusing on the strength and ability of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so, and I can give you some advice on this. Maybe you, royal you, your listeners, your viewers. So, if you ever spoke to anyone that I went to school with, they'd tell you I was just a horrible, just a brat, which I was. Absolutely, I was. I got expelled from school. I was awful. I didn't have any friends. I was just and anyone who went to school with me, they'll be listening. If they're listening to this, they'll say, "Yeah, he was a bit of a dick," right? And I grew up to be a bit of a dick as well. But what I did do, which I realised, when I graduated from university, I went for a job. And I went to the interview, and I didn't have any clue on interview skills, right? I didn't know that such a thing existed. I thought, well, in interviews, you turn up and you answer their questions, right?
Yep.
So I did, and they offered me a job because I had a decent degree, but they said, "Do you want some feedback?" And I said, "Yes, please." And this guy said to me, "Your interview skills were poor." And I said, "Oh," and I just got offended, right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I answered all your questions, right? And I got annoyed, right? And I left, but I went away and thought about it, and I thought, right, let's be objective and let's take it on board, right? Like, let's take this criticism constructively. And I thought, is interview skills? I said, I did a bit Googling, and are interview skills a thing? Yeah, they are, right? Okay, well, I better learn them, right? So I started doing a load of reading and a bit of self-taught, right? Like self-improvement stuff, but I taught myself to be able to talk to people better, and it's helped me. I can't emphasize how helpful that's been throughout my life, being able to talk to people.
Yeah.
And at first it's fake it till you make it, right? Like you pretend to be a nice guy and you kind of like, you tell people what you think they want to hear. And you're trying lines out when you're talking to girls and you're talking to guys and you're trying to like defuse situations sometimes when you're getting into an argument and it's all kind of like practice stuff. But after a while, it just becomes natural to you, right?
Yeah.
So now when I go for job interviews, well, I haven't been for job interviews for ages because I'm really good at my job and they love me. But when I went for a job interview, I was told I was the best candidate at interview. Now, and I want to stress, it's not because I'm naturally good at it, because I'm not. I'm really bad. But taking the time to learn those skills and to improve on something that I was bad at and recognize it that I needed, it really helped me. Now, what's this got to do with jiu-jitsu? Well, people skills will help you everywhere, and they will help you with jiu-jitsu as well, right? Because you're going to have to build a team around you. You're going to have to work with promoters. You're going to have to work with people of all sorts. You're going to have to sell tickets if that's what you want to do. You're going to have to make connections, and having good communication, just being a decent person and being able to chat with people and being confident in yourself and being able to have a conversation. And if you don't know something, being able to say, my bad, I don't know, right? Or I made a mistake and I apologize, right? And stuff like this. Being able to interact with people is so useful. And these are skills that people don't tell you you're going to need in jiu-jitsu. You're going to be a professional athlete. Now, let's understand the difference between a professional athlete and an amateur athlete. An amateur athlete competes to win a sport. A professional athlete is also competing to win a sport, but their actual job is to get paid, and they get paid by the promoter. So they need to sell tickets. They need to get eyeballs, right? They need to be marketable. And so it might not be your thing. It's not many people's thing. It really isn't. But you think, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Don't worry, not alone. Everyone says the same thing. Yeah. Too bad, though. Get with the program. You're going to have to be marketable, right? So teach yourself to be marketable, as well as getting good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I kind of get that. Thank you for that, and all of that for me. Whenever I speak with anyone, my life is not completely jiu-jitsu, but I'm always interpreting the concepts as how can I relate some of this personal development, some of this learning across to how I interact and kind of grow my skill and ability as a jiu-jitsu, hobbyist, competitor, and whatever.
We talk about me being Zoe's coach, right? And she's often like she calls it my pretty privilege. She thinks it's really weird how and she goes, well, what just happened there? Like people will be really nice to me. They'll offer me stuff for free. Like I'll turn up to a competition and I'll say I'm coaching. Oh, did you book in as a coach? Oh, sorry, was I supposed to? No, but here's a coach pass anyway, right? And she goes, why are they giving you stuff? Well, people give me like t-shirts and like I just get stuff. But I think it's just because I'm polite and I'm pleasant to people and I'm friendly, right? And she goes, no, people are just giving you stuff all the time. I'm like, what? I mean, learn some personal skills, right? I'd like to think I give out too, right? I mean, I'm really cool with people, so.
Yes. You are very cool with people. We will come back and talk about feedback because from that, the feedback you had in one of your first interviews that your interview skills are poor, your skill level and ability to do the job was probably incredibly high. But being able to receive feedback and then be able to do something with it is incredibly important, it feels.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I had a chat before with a guy. He ended up putting me on his podcast as well. A guy called Scott Seabright. He was really, really big into the ecological kind of style of jiu-jitsu. He was kind of really one of the forerunners of it. And a few years ago, we were having a chat on Facebook. It was just a Facebook forum, and I didn't know who the guy was, right? But he was just putting his stuff out there, saying like everyone's doing this shrimping and they're doing like warm ups or running around the mat and stuff. And surely there's a better way, right? And a lot of people just attacking him, and I was kind of one of them, right? Like, well, this is the way it's been done, and it works, right? But he engaged me, and he said, no. What about this? Anyway, we took it offline. We had a chat, and he started talking to me about this ecological thing. This was years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've listened. I thought, actually, what he says makes sense, right? Like, well, I don't know if it makes sense, but it could make sense. And he gave me some stuff to read, and I did that. And I started trying some of the ideas in my class. I didn't go full like stupid with it, and and all weird names and everything. But I started making things a bit more live and trying stuff. And it's like working. So anyway, just a few months later, I reached out to him and I said, I tried some of your ideas. I've had a lot of success. And he's then come back to me and go, I didn't realize that you were someone that's fought, you're a black belt and you fought in UFC and you were like one of international titles and stuff like this. I didn't know you'd done all this stuff. So it's really cool that I'm just some guy on the internet that you've never met, and I've given you this feedback, and you've taken it and been open-minded. I think it's really important to me to be open-minded about a lot of stuff, because if we're closed-minded and just stick to our opinions, well, that's what's happening with this populism movement that we're getting, right? And people end up voting. Well, I don't want to get political, but we've made some bad decisions while voting, right? And it's because people, just think with their emotions rather than, hang on a minute, maybe I'm wrong, right? Let me explore this thing that I don't like. I don't like the idea of it, but let me explore it, and maybe there's something in it, right? So, I like with the jiu-jitsu stuff, I don't like the idea of doing a load of interviews and doing the media stuff and trying to sell tickets and, but actually I'm going to have to accept that there's something I'm going to have to do, and I'm going to have to get with the program.
Well, I think kind of echoing back in a very, white blue belt fashion, you have to get out there and do the hard stuff. This episode is sponsored by VT Jiu-Jitsu. VT Jiu-Jitsu is the place for BJJ and MMA in Chippenham. In fact, even if you don't live in Chippenham and you want exceptional coaching in the sport, VT is the place to be. The philosophy is very much around problem solving and learning jiu-jitsu for your body, where making mistakes and succeeding are equally welcomed. The coaching goes above and beyond the basics of BJJ, where results are shown in the collection of gold medals and championship belts from highly competitive events in the UK and around the world. Go and scale up your jiu-jitsu today by checking out the website and booking your free class over on vtjj.co.uk. This is the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Thank you for supporting this show so far. I really appreciate you. Onwards and upwards to the next 100 or more. Keep checking out the clips dropping before each episode over on YouTube and Instagram. And as always, just like and follow. Today I'm having a conversation with Leigh Remedios. So Leigh, doing the hard stuff, showing up. It's what we've got to do, right?
I think there's more to it.
Okay.
And I think in jiu-jitsu, I'm going to go on a huge rant here, what I think is wrong with jiu-jitsu.
Go for it.
But it's going to sound like I'm putting people down, and I don't want to do that, because people are doing what they think is best, right? And maybe they're right, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Okay. But I've had pretty good success pretty quickly in jiu-jitsu. Look, I had a strong combat sport, past, background before jiu-jitsu, and I had a lot of grappling. But I've done all right in jiu-jitsu. And my athletes do really well in jiu-jitsu. And we're not necessarily doing stuff the way it's always been done. I like to think I bring across at least some experience from a professional combat sports background, rather than, well, jiu-jitsu is still like a fledgling sport, and it's really kind of new, right? And you see that. But one of the things, when you say just turn up and then that's what you got to do, I think that's one of there's a few dirty secrets in jiu-jitsu, and that's one of them. That's a lie. You can't just turn up and think you're going to get better. You can't. That's not how getting better works. You get on the mat and you roll around and you turn up to classes. Will you get better? Yeah, you will. Will you get better optimally? No, you won't. You need to focus on your development. You need to, and this is what people don't want to do, all right? And that's cool. Maybe you just want to turn up 2 or 3 times a week and have a bit of a workout and go home and get cool. And after a few years, you'll be a blue belt, and after a few more years, someone might give you a charity purple belt, but you're going to be quite crap, right? You are, right? Unless you've got some talent for it, and you happen to be talented, but that's unlikely, right? You could be. What you need to do is have a plan, have a strategy, for your own development, right? Like every other sport does.
Like every other aspect of life, to be fair.
Yes. Yeah, you don't just turn up and but you see this in schools, okay? Just kids in a school, you'll get all the kids have to turn up by law. Kids have to go to school. So the ones that don't, let's not worry about that. But a load of kids turning up to school. Why are some kids in set 1 and some kids in bottom sets? Right? Yeah. Is natural talent a thing? Of course it is, somewhat. But the reason that the kids are at the top is probably because their parents are pushing them and making them, giving them that sort of culture where you're going to study, you're going to, they're the kids that are going to get their homework done on time, that they're going to go the extra mile, they're going to do stuff, they're going to work, they're going to pay attention in class. The kids are at the back just throwing paper airplanes around. Well, they're not doing very well. Turning up isn't enough. Right? Yep. Now, that's an extreme example, but it's true. Turning up isn't enough. Turn up with a focus, turn up with a plan, turn up with a strategy. Speak to your coach. Right? Now, if you're a white belt, probably being on the mat is enough, right? You just got to learn the skills of being squished, trying to squish someone else, right? And there's a ton of benefit to that, to just being on the mat and learning how your body moves and how to move someone else's body. You don't need strategies and all this sort of stuff, right? But as you get better, you got to focus your training. What am I crap at? Well, I can't escape these positions. Right, well, I need to work on these positions. If I just go in, drill passively the technique that the instructor's showing me. He's an instructor, not a coach, maybe, right? He's just showing a technique. And does this work? Yeah, I guess so. Then we roll. We just try and fight as hard as we can. We haven't learned anything, all right? And we just try and win. And then we don't get anywhere, all right? And I think there's a much better way. And, right, like train with an intent, train with a purpose, have a plan for your training. Short term, medium term, long term. You don't have to get too in depth with it, maybe. But what do you need to work on? What are your lowest hanging fruit? Break the sport down into you've got some basic positions, some basic submissions, right? And they're all different levels for you. Maybe your sweeps from guard are right up here, right? And maybe your submissions from mount are down here, or your side control escapes down here, right? You go into you go into rolling and you throw yourself into close guard. Why are you practicing this? You're already good at that. Right? If I pass your guard, you're screwed. Right?
I mean, when I've spoken with other people for these interviews, I'm more and more learning that you have to be able to see what you're not very good at, and sometimes that's really difficult. Apart from receiving feedback, and then going to each class with intent to work on one thing. And, even back in my very early episode recordings, before number 10, I think, it's like some people just work on one technique or one thing for a year or more, and that's their focus, just to get good at that thing. But they wouldn't know that they weren't good at that thing unless they'd had some feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I say, I think you want to identify the areas, rough areas, like if you need a template, here you go. Look at 5 basic positions, right? Guard, half guard, side control, mount, back. There you go. There's 5 positions. And can you attack from all of those positions? Can you escape from all of those positions? Right? And you have a plan B, right? And that, so for guard, that would be passing, I suppose, right? Or on bottom, it's going to be sweeping or submitting, right? Can you submit from mount? Can you escape from mount? Right? Now, if those things you actually can't do, well, work them then, right? Because someone's going to put you there. Someone's going to put you in one of those positions, and you won't be able to do anything. Now, if you don't know if you're any good at it, you can ask your coach. And if your coach won't help you, and I'm going to be honest, some coaches don't. Then the best coach I ever had was my couple of years at purple belt, competing a lot. That was the best coaching I ever got. I competed every other week at purple belt and just went and fought as many people as I could, and win or lose, I had a smile on my face. I'm going to learn a load of stuff here. And I lost a few at purple. I was like, gee, this is hard work. And then I went on a big run of winning purple belt gold medals. Once I got my game together, right? But because it was me and Christian were competing all the time. Christian being now one of my black belts, but he was blue at the time, or white. He was white and then he got his blue while I was purple. And we would just go to comps almost every weekend, and we'd compete. And if we had problems with stuff, we'd go back to the gym and we'd work it, and we'd spend a few hours on the mats, just let's problem solve this stuff, which at the time didn't have a name, but that's exactly what ecological training is. Right? We were going back and we were problem solving our own issues and fixing them. So
Yeah.
like anyone that got good really did train ecologically. They didn't call it ecological training then. They called it like rolling, right, and problem solving, right. But that's what they did. They didn't sit in class watching a crap technique being taught poorly, and then drill it passively, and then try and roll as hard as they can, and then go home. Right? They problem solved and worked on what they needed to work on. And if you need guidance on what you need to work on, do a load of comps, and you'll soon realise, without anyone buttering you up, right? With no sugarcoating, you'll find what you're crap at.
Yeah. It now makes more sense that, you know, the advice to just get out there, compete as soon as you can, because it's that test on your ability and what you're kind of good at, what you're not good at, mostly, to be able to then come back to the gym. If you're in an environment that you can continue kind of just drilling, rolling, testing out, problem solving that particular thing. I'd love you to talk to me about how you run the classes over at VT, because it feels quite unique. I've not experienced the style of coaching and the problem solving before, but just for anyone that hasn't experienced what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of working on. I'm always trying to improve. Always trying to improve my own jiu-jitsu. I'm always working on stuff, and I'm always trying to improve how I'm teaching my classes as well. So we've got Tammy at our place. I've just given her a black belt, so she's my first ever female black belt.
Congratulations, Tammy. I was there. It was amazing.
Yeah. And she gives me a lot of feedback on my classes. Maybe more feedback than I want. No, but she's been great. Like, because she won't sugarcoat it. She'll say, "Look, that's not working. That's wrong, right?
Yeah.
We need to do it differently." And I'll listen. And, yeah, okay, fair enough. I'll take that on board. Okay, so how do I run my classes? We warm up mainly with rolling, like flow rolling. Just like, no, I know, always stress every class, guys, we're not trying to kill each other. We're going nice and easy. I don't care if you tap me. I'll let you tap me if you want. I don't care. No one cares if you get tapped, right? We're just rolling, just taking it nice and easy, just moving, right? So we do like 15 minutes of that. That's our warm up. Then into class, I split the class, and I say, if you want to work on your own jiu-jitsu, something you want to work on, cool, jump in the cage. That's a separate matted area, right? Like, jump in the cage. If I can get to you, I will. I can't promise to. If we've got more coaches on the mat, I've got a few black belts there, that's easier, right? Someone can jump in the cage and help them, or I can get round to them. And then I run my class. And I kind of use two formats. The main format I use is, if I'm showing something, I know exactly how I want to teach it. Like, let's say, for example, I'm teaching a triangle, right? And I know exactly how I want them to do it. But if I just tell them, that's no good. Because they'll go, okay, yeah, I believe him, right? He's the coach and he's told us what to do. Yeah. But that doesn't sit in here, right? So what I'll do is I'll often work backwards. So how someone's got I should probably do a short YouTube video on my coaching style for this, because I think it'd be really helpful for a lot of people. A lot of good coaches that have put in their time, good black belts, but are finding this ecological stuff a bit tricky to get their head around, right? And they're thinking, well, and they're feeling a bit threatened by it, right? This new stuff, and I don't know it, and I don't want to, like, necessarily be left behind, but I don't want to be someone that doesn't know what they're doing. So I'll continue in a nutshell, kind of how I teach, and that is, let's say I'm teaching a triangle strangle, and that'll be the only thing I'll teach that night. I'm not going to do any more than that, because you can't take on more than that. If I was to show a triangle and an armbar, and certainly and then a leg lock or something, or a sweep, you can't take that on, not in one night, right? You can take on one thing. So let's say we're teaching triangle. We'll start at the back, at the end. I'll show everyone, this is a locked-in triangle. Everyone get into that position, right? And then live, you're going to make them tap. Different with joint locks, right? You've got to be careful you don't hurt anyone, so that's a bit different, right? But really, concept's the same. Can you make them tap? And sometimes you can't, right? No, I can't make them tap. They're getting out. Okay, the uki has to get out. You've got to get out. Can you get out of that track? And if they get it wrong, I'll tell them how to get out, right? Posture up hard. Put your hands, drive up, right? Turn the angle, right? Turn the corner. Remove those legs. Pull your head out. And so they have to be able to finish the triangle, right? So once they've learned how to finish a locked-in triangle, now they're motivated. And So, and I'm going to talk a little about motivation. Remind me to talk about motivation in a minute because it's huge.
Yes.
It's my biggest thing. Like probably is trying to keep students motivated, not just to come to class. That's not my issue. I want them motivated to learn what I'm teaching them, and I'll explain in a minute. But they are now motivated to get to the triangle because they realize they can finish the fight. So if I get there, I can finish. Right now, I'm really keen to learn how to get there. Then we'll move back a step and we'll go to the diamond. And from the diamond, right, now, can we go from diamond to lock triangle? Off you go. Uki, you've got to get out again. Right? And it's back and forth, taking turns, right? And then if they can't, they'll try a few times. If they can't, then they're open, though, that they're motivated now for a solution. So when I give them the solution, right, that makes sense to me, and I'll use it because I can get to the triangle and finish the fight, right? So now they've got a pathway from diamond to end the fight. Then we get back another step. Okay, so if we've got an overhook and a grip on the other wrist, and we've got feet on the hips, or we've got closed guard, can we get to the diamond, right? Because if we can, then we can finish the fight, right?
Yep.
And so we'll step by step, and they're confident they can always get back to the end position. So we're going to keep working backwards until they have a credible pathway from closed guard to get to a finish of the fight, right? So whereas normally a triangle might be taught, right, we start from closed guard, we get the overhook, we get the wrist, we put our foot through, we go to here, we finish. That's too much. It's too much for someone to learn in one drill, right? That's too much, and it's passive because you can't do that live because they'll never be able to do that in one hit live.
No.
It's too much. So I break the steps down. In the step becomes the drill. The technique doesn't become the drill, but each individual step becomes the drill, and we work backwards. So that seems to be working really well for me because they're learning it live against an actual resisting opponent. Because I tell them, like, guys, don't be easy on each other. You're not doing each other any favors. You got to get out, right? And
what?
Sorry,
one of the things that I would kind of echo back, I was not sure about that style of coaching to start with, but actually what I found for me personally is that we're all different body shapes, sizes, and everything else, and we can then adjust. So each time of drilling and trying to do it, you're moving at a slightly different angle, and there are so many beautiful nuances and layers up at every single stage, and then you can't ever learn 3 or 4 moves in one like session because the nuances of each thing of securing that triangle or getting to the diamond or the overhook and there are just so many different angles that make that difference, and that's the joy that I've kind of experienced in learning it.
If I go into too much detail, of course I can spend 10 minutes explaining how I enter a triangle because like I'm pretty good at it, but that's not going to be any good to anybody. Right? Maybe on an instructional DVD where you can study it over and over and over and rewatch it and try it with your mate and then come back and watch the video again, right? But in a class setting, that's ridiculous. But I don't mean to kind of seem like I'm mocking people that do that because that's the way we were all taught. Yes. Right? But it's subpar, right? So let me talk a little bit about motivation. Maybe I might be sounding a bit like a broken record with this one because I've said it a lot. But I read a book years and years ago called Bad Science by a guy called Ben Goldacre. And I do recommend getting the book, guys. It's not. I don't know the guy. I haven't got any vested interest in that. But I mean, download the PDF for free if you can. Then I don't care, right? I mean, but it's a really good book about critical thinking and science in general. And what he says in this, he's a GP, all right. So and he talks about his experiences and in science. And he says that IQ tests don't really mean very much. That again, of course, there are some people have more talent than others at picking stuff up. But he believes that anybody within reason can learn anything, provided 2 conditions are met, and that is that the material is good. So that's on me as a coach. I have to provide good material. And that the student is sufficiently motivated. So if they're motivated and the material's good, they can learn it. And in my experience, that's true. absolutely, some of the best students I've ever had have been kids with autism. I've had quite a few.
Yeah.
And I mean, I won't mention any names, but you know that we've got a couple at the gym at the moment. And my God, they learn quick.
Yeah.
Right. And because a lot of times they don't have too much ego, they just want to try stuff, and I'll show them things and they'll try it. They won't try and win. They'll try. Well, they do try and win, but they're going to try the stuff that I've shown them, and they're going to come to every class, and they're really focused. It's something that they love, and they really, really engage on it.
Yeah.
But they might do terrible in school because they're not interested. Right?
Yeah.
School, they're not motivated to learn well at school because they don't get it, and the teachers are talking at them, and they're like, oh, I don't even want to be here, right? So I'll have parents say to me, he's had a bit of trouble at school, and he's not doing really, really well. Okay. I've had a few kids like that. Don't worry, I'm sure he'll be fine. And then they super excel at the jiu-jitsu, right? Because they're motivated.
Yeah.
It's not because they're thick kids, because they're not.
Yeah.
Right. But they're not motivated to do well in English or in maths, but they're motivated to do well in jiu-jitsu because they love it.
So remind us of the two factors: motivation and kind of wanting to do the thing is one of them. The other one is
good material. So I have to be a good coach.
Yeah.
And that's on me, right? That's absolutely on me. That's not on the student at all. I have to provide that, right? But they have to be motivated. So where I'm going with this is I'm really big on trying to get people motivated in my coaching. So that's why I start backwards so they can see the end goal.
Yeah.
I can start at the beginning. I go, okay, we're going to be in close guard. We're going to work to get an overhook. Okay, everyone do that. And they'll be going, well, why? Right? I don't know. Why would I do that? Right? Oh, you'll see later on. Like, what? What are we doing? Right? I mean, I need them to want to get there. But once they've found they can finish a locked-in triangle or a rear naked or an arm lock or something like that, once they've got like the heel hook locked into place and they feel, actually, he's not going anywhere, right? And I could finish this fight. Now I'm motivated to get to the saddle, and I'm motivated to get the heel exposure. And I'm motivated to get to where I need to be. Or even it's just you get to mount, you get your 4 points. Or you get 2 for the sweep and 4 for the mount, 6 points up, right? You've won the match probably, right? Yep. Okay, that makes sense to me. Can you hold mount? Can you hold and keep mount? I can. Right. Well, now let's start working backwards. Okay, you've got perfect grips. Let's say you've got perfect grips to start elevating someone and sweeping them over. Could you get them over? With a bit of practice, yes, I can. So now you're motivated to get good grips, right? And so we're working backwards. So now we're in a butterfly guard. Let's get those grips. Right, we've got our good grips, right? Can we create off balancing, right? Can we take away their base and their stabilizers, right? Can we get them moving? Yes, we can with practice, and we know why, because we want to, because we're motivated to get to mount because we got 6 points for it, right? So I'm working backwards to build that motivation. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it completely makes sense. But I just want to also mention Ben Goldacre. I met him back in 2012 at TEDMed at the Royal Albert Hall. He speaks incredibly quickly. Is probably has some neurodiversity of some sort, but because of his level of intelligence and whatever, maybe not IQ in that sense, but I was kind of engaged in I think there's a book called Bad Data. So again, in the medical industry, where you can, researchers slice and dice data to display whatever they want to display, whether that's kind of fact or not. There is some intent. So, and I'm also relating this to jiu-jitsu. You can be told by one person, because they have intent, they have ulterior motives or agendas that, give you some particular feedback that might not be helpful. It might not be the truth. And I think some of us need to actually have a level of understanding and assessment to do that personal discovery and understanding as to what does this person mean? Is this right? Is this the only feedback I've got? And how can we assess the bigger picture, shall we say, for the true facts of our ability in jiu-jitsu or even anywhere else in life? But I rate Ben.
Yeah, but like, how do we trust people, right? And how do we know that they're giving us the right information? This is a tough one, because we have to understand, of course, that a white belt doesn't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So they have to put all their trust in their coach, right? And their coach is telling them what they feel is right. Now, it may, and I'll also say that a white belt's probably not in a position to assess whether their coach is right or wrong.
Yeah.
Right. They might tell you something, you think, well, that doesn't make sense to me. Then ask them to clarify. And if they won't, then you've got a bit of a crap coach, right? If someone just says, this is the way we do it, trust the process. I hate that term, trust the process. I really, really hate it. That's lazy. And people might be offended by me saying that, because I know a lot of people say this, trust the process in jiu-jitsu. No, I don't trust the process, right? Because your process could be crap. And it probably is crap, because there's a lot of crap in jiu-jitsu, right? I progress very quickly, and some of my students progress very quickly, right? And because we're not doing the crap. And I don't just mean progressing through the belts, but winning medals, right? Doing well. Because trusting the process isn't enough. Trusting the process is turn up to class. Well, it's not enough. Right? We've already gone through that, right? No, don't just trust the process. No, explain the process to me, right? Make it make sense, right? I mean, if I'm the student, I'm the customer, right? You're not my master. You're not my boss. You're effectively my employee. Right? I'm paying you, right? You work for me. Now, I'm not saying that students could have that attitude and go to their coach. You tell me, like, no, of course not, right? You have to have some respect for your coach and some faith in that they're going to do the right thing. And I think most instructors and coaches do want to do the right thing. I just think that the sport is still a fledgling sport and developing, and could learn a lot from other professional sports. I don't think that people are purposely doing things wrong. And I think they're doing a lot of stuff right. And I believe, because I know a lot of coaches, and I think that a lot of them, almost all of the ones I know, do want their students to get better. So you have to have faith that they're telling you the right thing, right? And that they've at least got your best interests at heart. Not all of them, but most of them do. But if it doesn't make sense to you, ask them. And a good coach should explain that to you. If I say to you, right, okay, I think your side control isn't, your side control escapes are your weaker area, and you need to learn how to frame properly. And you say, but I don't really get what you mean. And I say, okay, well, do you understand that your side control escapes are crap? Well, they're kind of working for me. Well, let me show you how they don't, right? And I'll pin you and you won't get out, right? And I'll start submitting you, and then, like, does that explain it to you, right? Okay, I need to work on my side control escapes. Okay, do you understand what framing is? No. Okay, then we need to work on your framing, right? But if you don't understand what I'm saying to you, then that's on me, and you should have every right to say to me, I'm not following. Like, I trust you, because I wouldn't be paying you money to come to your gym and your classes and your club, but because if you don't trust someone, then don't go to their club, right? That's simple, right? But I trust you, but I don't understand what you're telling me. Can you break it down, right? And if the coach says no, probably find a new club. Right.
I think as customers and as someone that trains jiu-jitsu, it's about having your own intuition and knowing that something's not right, or there's a question, and being brave enough or confident enough, or just in your own personality, to ask those questions, to ask for that feedback, to settle any uncertainty, because there's nothing worse than walking away from a class feeling uncertain about anything in your jiu-jitsu game, because you've just spent the last hour or two. Why would you walk away uncertain? And I know I can hold my hand up to say I have walked away in previous kind of classes feeling uncertain, but actually it's on us as practitioners to ask those questions and give you coaches a hard time.
Now, exactly. I'm not going to pretend that I think all my students are going to get everything in one class, because they're not. Right? You're going to drill some stuff, and I've got a very mixed ability. I've got white belts in my class, and I've got black belts in my class, right? And every belt in between. So some of the guys are going to pick it up really quickly, and I've got to keep at a certain pace so people don't get bored. But I like to think that everyone will get it, because what I do regularly in my classes, moving back to when you asked me how my classes go, I regularly break it down, and I want the students to figure it out for themselves as much as they can. So, and I want them to struggle. So if they struggle, Now they're motivated for an answer. And when I give it to them, they will absorb it. Rather than if I just say to you, right, this is how I want you to do a triangle. Okay. Then you go rolling and you won't really think about it. You'll just try and win.
Yeah.
But I want you to struggle. I want you to fail. Actually, I'd like you to succeed straight away. That'd be great, right? But I expect you to fail, and that's fine. I'm cool with that. Because then when I show you the answer, you want to go, I was ready for that. I needed that solution, and I get it now because I've been trying it and I'm trying and trying, and I didn't have the answer, and now you've given it to me. Okay, great. So, what I do in my class, I mean, as you know, because I mean, you're there, but for your listeners, I stop very regularly throughout my class, like a lot, and I'll ask for feedback, and I'll say, guys, okay, what are you struggling with, and what are you having success with, and we work through the problems. And sometimes they'll say, I can't get out. This guy's holding me down really well, and I'll be, geez, okay, do it to me, and I'll get mangled, and I'll try and show it get out, right? But what I'll also do is, rather than just leave it up to the students, is I will walk around and I'll look and I'll try and help people and I'll see what they're doing, and then I'll identify what people are struggling with, because sometimes you can't always make that assessment yourself.
No.
Right. So that's on me. So I'll walk around and I'll look and I'll see, okay, I notice that people are struggling to move from a diamond into a triangle, for example. That's the technique we're talking about, right? Or they're struggling to keep the posture broken. So now I'll say, okay, guys, let's reconvene. Okay, how's it going? Everyone thinks going all right. Anyone struggling to keep the posture? Yeah, okay, yeah, right. Well, let's work on that, right? And so it's always like a continuous like cycle of let's work this, let's improve it. Let's find the fault. Let's find the faults. Let's find the holes. Let's fill those holes. Let's fill those gaps. Let's improve it. Right. I think it's a really effective way to teach. It does require you to be an expert in what you're teaching. Right. So like something that's not my game, like worm guard, for example, I couldn't do that. I couldn't teach worm guard that way because I don't know it very well. I kind of know. I could probably do it with a fashion. I know how to weave the gi in and out and get to the grips and topple someone over, but it's not my thing. And so I couldn't teach that technique, or I couldn't teach that kind of system using my style because I don't know it very well. But that's really true of anything. You can't, if you don't know something very well, you shouldn't be teaching it, right? But moving to your point on how we assess ourselves. All we can do is ask our coach until we understand the answer, right? And, now it might get to a point where you're asking a lot of questions, and the coach is like, "I'll be honest, this is bordering on a private, on a one-to-one, right?" And look, I don't charge one-to-ones to my students. I just help them, right? Like people from outside want to do one-to-ones with me. I'll absolutely, I'm gonna, if I find the time, I'll charge you. But for my own students, I don't, right? Like you're already paying me a membership. Ask me questions, I'll answer them for you, right? But I absolutely get that I'm in a privileged position of I've got a well-paying job and I do my jiu-jitsu as a hobby and a passion, right? A lot of guys are doing it to pay their mortgages, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with charging for one-to-ones to your students, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying they shouldn't. But if you're asking like 10 or 15 questions, listen, right? And you're going on for 10 minutes and the coach is going like, I mean, this is a 50 quid private or whatever they charge, right? I don't know. But so I get that side of it too. So ask some questions, and if it's too much for you, you're going to have to just put your time in.
Exactly. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's right. You do. I'm very grateful to you for showing up. Obviously, you're there coaching other individuals at the British Open, a gi competition that I took part in May. I think it feels like a long time ago, but I've got a lot to work on, and for me, that competition felt like it was a good assessment of my gaps in the game, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. It was really an eye-opening experience.
I did think you did really well, and I'm gonna tell you stuff now in front of all your listeners as well. You might go, oh, right. In your preparation, realistically, you were fighting 3 age brackets down.
Yeah.
Right. At the British Open. Right. So you've got the best girls in the country, and they are 15 years younger than you. Right. And maybe more, I think. Did you fight Masters 1?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I'm not going to give away your age. Okay. Other than to say, I think you're the same age bracket as me, right?
Yep.
And I'm far from Masters 1, right? So look, realistically, I didn't think you were going to gold medal that division, right? I'm being honest with you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that to you, but I'm not going to lie to you either, right? If you'd have asked me, I'd have said probably not, right?
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't lie to you. But I said, what? When you rolled with Tammy, I said to Tammy, I want you to put it on Lou. I want you just to crush her. Don't hurt her, of course, but I want you to really pressure her. And she said to me, and so Tammy and I had this conversation, and she said, but I don't want to break her confidence. And she was concerned for you. And I said, look, what I really want from Lou is that she can stay in the fight. That's really what I want. I think for her development, if Lou can just stay in these fights and just grit them out and not be tapped out and not be beaten up, I think that's a huge win for her, because she's given away 3 age brackets, right? And so I don't know if you remember, but Tammy was just running you up and down.
Yep, I do remember in the cage.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not trying to put you down. Tammy is a new black belt now, right? And you're a blue belt, right? So this would be expected, right? But it worked. You went out there and you gave a great account. Like, I think these girls were young, they're athletic, they were competitive. I mean, they're the best in the country, and you lost by 2 points, right? I mean, that's
I was pleased at my performance. For me, it's always about just staying in the game and not getting tapped out.
Well, you came back and you were like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't do well." I'm like, "You did awesome. You did great. I don't need you to win. I'm not the sort of coach, right? Like you, Lou, in your development, did amazing. Like, these girls were really good, and they couldn't pass your guard, and they couldn't do the stuff to you, right? They couldn't submit you, and I was, you can ask the other girls at the gym. I said to Tammy and I said to Sam, I was really impressed. She did really well.
Yeah.
So,
I think anyway. We always give ourselves a hard time. But moving on from me, just because that's a very uncomfortable situation to be in, but that's fine. That's a learning point. Coaching at competitions. Some of us are very privileged to have a coach at competitions, but how important is it to have your coach there?
So, look, I found it really weird when I started Jiu-Jitsu and coaches weren't turning up. Like, blew my mind a little bit, right? Like, what? But it's not apples with apples, because I come from a combat sports background. Like, I was competing in MMA. And so you're fighting once every 3 months, and of course your corner are going to be there, right? It's a professional event, and you're going to have a corner, right? That's normal, right? So when someone's doing jiu-jitsu competitions every weekend, it's not realistic for a coach to come. I'm not. If you say to me, I've got, for the next 3 months, I'm doing 7 competitions. Can you be at all of them? No, I can't. Right? I'm not going to be at all of them. And if you compete in the Accrington Stanley, like open with 3 competitors in the whole comp, no, I'm not going to drive all the way up there to, for this far-off little comp. Doesn't mean anything. You can go there and just get some experience yourself, right? But I do try to get to most of them, especially if it's doable. I will be there, and I try to be. Like, I'm going to be there tomorrow, right? I know this is going out in November, right? But on the day this is being recorded, there's the comp tomorrow. It's about an hour away, and we've got a few athletes on, and I'm going to go and I'm going to coach them, right? And I think it's really, really helpful. I mean, I can only speak from the coach's side of it, but I've got my cat here. But I think it's useful. If nothing else, it gives you some confidence. It gives you some guidance, right? Like if you've got a lot of people get a lot of nerves. Most people get a lot of nerves, right? But at least if your coach is there, like, to kind of give you some guidance, and you feel a bit more assured that you're going to have some support there and someone can help you through it, right? And I can tell you, like, okay, I think you need to go weigh in now. You need to start warming up, and you've got some guidance. You've got okay. Well, the panic is not. It's not all just I don't know what I'm doing. Someone's telling me at least what to do, right? Get a bit of guidance,
What benefit is it for the coach to be at competition supporting from the other side, from your perspective? But is there anything beneficial for maybe new coaches coming through? What how's it going to help their game or their understanding or their style of coaching? What's in it
So
for them?
what it helps, I suppose, is, well, I mean, one, experience in coaching. If you want your students to do well and you're going to coach them regularly, it's good to get some experience doing that. So the more you do it, the better you'll get. But my goal in my club, really my only goal, is that my students get better. Okay. And so if I can go and watch you compete and I can be there to help you, win or lose, I don't really. Of course, I want you to win because I want you to feel good. But I don't really care for myself, right? Like I've had people say to me before, like, oh yeah, but you're not going to let them compete because you want to keep your good record. What are you talking about? Like, it's totally irrelevant to me. I don't care what our record is for the gym, but we do well, right? And it's nice to be able to say that we do well, but I mean, I absolutely don't care if people lose. I'm not going to hold it against them at all, right? I mean, I've lost loads, and everyone loses, right? But so I want you to have a good time and I want you to feel some success. But if I come and I get to watch you compete, then I can give you some feedback straight away. Like if I wasn't there, if I see you the next day and you come and you say, yeah, I didn't win, and it's just I felt that I didn't do well in this, and okay, great. But if I watched you, I can see, okay, well, they need to work on this, and when we get back to the gym, we'll have a deload, and So I've recently put this kind of thing in this rule. I mean, a bit of a guideline in place that if people compete, then I'm going to spend some time with them, give them some feedback back at the gym. If you compete, I'll spend some time with you and I'll talk you through what I think you could have done differently, or what you did right, and well, that was really good. Like his areas to work on, because I just want to support them. Like they're going out and they're representing my club, and win or lose, they're that's cool, right? So I want to kind of reward people for that, So, but the benefit to me as a coach is only that I get to see my students compete, which is rewarding. Like I love seeing my students do well. It's rewarding for that, and I get to see how I can help them get better. But just as a coach, that's the only real thing that I get out of it. I don't get paid or anything like that. Maybe I get.
If only you did, Leigh.
Sorry.
If only you did get paid for turning up at competitions. No, I get it.
Like I've got a job, right? And I do all right, so I don't need to rinse people for cash.
No, it's good. And we appreciate you showing up and kind of giving us feedback. And, it's incredibly helpful kind of having that follow-up session. So I guess, that's the benefit for us as competitors.
And if I can, I don't know, you might want to cut this bit, I don't know, maybe you feel it's a bit embarrassing. But I remember before you did your comp and you were talking about, and you were saying, because Zoe competes professionally, she's competing on the same event as you. And you were saying, I know Zoe is a priority, but if you could get to me as well. I was like, no, you're all on the same event.
Yeah.
Like, you're all my priority, right? I'm not prioritizing one person over the other, right? Absolutely, I did coach Zoe, but I'm going to coach you too.
Yeah.
Right. I coached everybody that competed, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to.
Yeah.
You're all my students, right? So I'm going to help all of you.
I think that's. I want to say thank you, but I think it's really important to know that coaches show up for every single individual that is competing on that event or whatever, because it's we might be different ranks, but knowing you have our best interests at heart and kind of treat us as equal human beings. And I think being part of a club that does that is incredibly important for anyone. So if there's any kind of mismatch, man, do what you need to do.
I can only tell you how I do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Leigh, we are coming to an end. I'm so grateful to be able to speak to you for so long about coaching and all the things about Jiu-Jitsu. Do you have anything else that you want to mention before we wrap up?
maybe apologise for all the ranting I've done. Dragging this out longer than your other podcasts.
It's fine. It's fine. I mean, if people have got this far, then congratulations. You actually have, won a special prize. No, I mean,
what I want to say as well to your listeners is Lou also does like a tech podcast as well, right? So they could listen to such. It's not just jiu-jitsu that you do. You do other podcasts, right? So they can listen to other stuff. I
do. Yep.
And maybe you could have me on there as well on a tech one.
That's okay. We'll segue to Tech Talks with Lou. Thank you, Leigh. Right. If people aren't following you already, how can people follow you?
Probably best is Instagram. Yeah. Or our YouTube channel, we do try and put out quite a lot of content on there. Not as much as other places, but the YouTube channel is VTJJ. So if you go into that, I mean, I've got my own personal YouTube, Leigh Remedios, but there's nothing on there, right, other than me doing some pull-ups, right? So if you want to see jiu-jitsu content, go to VTJJ on YouTube or me, Leigh Remedios, on Instagram. Fabulous. And yeah. So if you want to connect with me, and I'm really approachable. Yeah, you can drop me messages and stuff, and I'm always happy to answer questions.
Fabulous. Thank you, Leigh. I will see you tomorrow, and thank you for not just showing up, but approaching with intent and having a bit of a plan.
No worries. Thanks for having me on the show.
Cheers. Thank you so much. If you really have got this far, let me know who you'd like to see next on the show. And as always, thank you again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast.